G'day, how you doing? 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏s here from 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏s Creative, the place we come to be inspired, creative and have a bit of fun. How good's that intro? I'm trying to improve the intro. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. I always forget to introduce myself, so I've been working on that all night. It was a bit scripted, wasn't it? Anyway, let's get into it. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. I've got all my volumes turned down so we don't get any, reverb. Let me just set something up on the other screen here. Give me 1 second. It's having a lot of fun commenting with you guys on the live stream. If you're a regular here, absolutely, I would love it if you could make it a habit. Just click the like button as you come in as a little thank you for putting on this, or appreciation of putting on this. Oh, Gail says she thinks my timer reset itself. It was under 4 minutes earlier. Where are we now? Am I on camera? Hopefully I'm on camera. Oh, good, loud and clear. Polished as. If you've joined us before, you know that it's a bit of fun and games. We don't take it too seriously. I don't really know what I'm doing. I jump on here live. We have some fun in Photoshop. Give you guys some inspiration to push your creative boundaries and try some new things. Today we're going to do something really fun. We're going to create the composite that you might have seen on the thumbnail. Beautiful little fantasy tree. I will jump over to the next screen and we'll show you that in a second. No, we're all good. I got a bit confused there that we were still looking at the countdown while I was talking to you guys there. So if you're a regular, thank you very much. I appreciate you all here. You give me purpose and meaning and something to do in the morning, every morning, and in fact throughout the entire day as I prepare for the next day. And if you are new, did I say new already? I'm not sure. If you are new, hit the subscribe button. We do this every day in this time slot. Hit the subscribe, hit the get notifications bell, and join us again tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be huge. Set the alarm, put it in your diary, tie a ribbon around your toe, around your thumb. You're not going to want to miss it. We have 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃, good mate of mine, absolutely phenomenal photographer, and he's going to give us all exactly what we need right now. We've all been stuck inside for a few weeks, months, maybe even longer, depending on where we are in the world. Paul is going to take us on an incredible, majestic, adrenaline-filled journey down the Grand Canyon, the USA's majestic Grand Canyon, whitewater rafting, a 28-day photographic tour down the Grand Canyon. Look, if that doesn't sound incredible, I don't know what does. I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it for, well, years, to be honest. Paul did this trip, I think, a couple of years ago, and I've been wanting to see an in-depth presentation on this body of work for ages. It's absolutely phenomenal. You're going to love it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, get the notifications bell so you don't miss out, or put it in your diary, set an alarm tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Sydney time, this time slot right now, whatever time that is in your part of the world. Check out the description below. There's heaps of good stuff. You can join my email list. You can join the free photo competition. There's only about 10 days left to get into that. What else have we got? We've got the best of the live series down there, my favorite videos. If you've missed a couple, take a look down there. That's the best of. What else? We've got incredible photographers coming up next week as well. I won't talk about them now. We'll get into the Photoshop stuff. Yesterday's video, we tried to target, well, I sort of indulged myself and tried to go after a strong search term in Learn Photoshop. And in actual fact, you guys really helped. We did really well. For about the first 12 hours, we were trending at number 2, number 3-ish. In the YouTube search for that term. We've dropped off to about 10, 11 or 12 now, but we had a good run. Hopefully it will cycle back up with any luck. We'll see how we go. All right. Let's switch over to camera 2 and get into Photoshop. I don't have 1,000 fluoro orange questions telling me I've done something wrong yet, but let me know. We know that generally I'm going to mess something up throughout the day, aren't I? Absolutely, but that's part of the fun of it, isn't it? Where's Adam going to stuff this one up? In fact, today it might be the image, to be honest. This is a bit of a gamble. Let's switch over to camera 2 over here, and I'll show you the image. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. Here we go. Let me swing around. How's that? Like, am I center camera? Center camera enough? I think so. I can't really see the camera and what you guys can see at the same time. Hopefully. Housework all done, coffee in hand, ready to go. Me too, apart from the housework thing. I have my cup of tea ready to go, and I have my smoothie. I've probably got smoothie bits in my teeth, do I? But, you know, we're trying to keep it professional, so we won't talk about that. Okay. This is the image we're going to be working on, okay? So, in the description below, if you want to follow along, you'll find a link that will go to an email sign up, and then the example images folder will be sent to your email. So just go down there, type in your name and your email. You will also join my weekly email tips. I don't do too much marketing, to be honest. Like, I'm not a spammy emailer. I give you some good tips with a little subtle, you know, weekly special or this or that. That's about it. So nothing to be afraid of there. And look, to be honest, if you want the example images, you can then just unsubscribe if you want. No big deal there, no big deal. But you can follow along. So download those, get them into your downloads folder, open up that folder, and then we're going to open them in Photoshop. Let's get it going. Gail says all good. Sue Ellen says Tom would have nothing to talk about if you did everything right. Yeah, I know, Tom. Tom has fun. He comes here just to see what I'm going to mess up most days. But, you know, that's what I'm here for a bit of fun. All good. We're all good. At least I'm talking to the right camera this morning. The profile monologue yesterday was a bit of a laugh, wasn't it? All right. The first thing we're going to do is we need to open up those images. So if I just need to open up Photoshop first of all, the Photoshop app, and we go to File, Open. Where are they? They're on my desktop. And they're in a folder called Stacey's Tree Photos. Okay, so when you get that Dropbox link, which goes to the example photos, you'll see a whole bunch of folders. All those other folders relate to previous example images that we've done on the live feed. So you can go back to the previous ones, you've got the example images, and you can now follow along with those previous videos as well. But for today, you're going to open up the Stacey's Tree folder. This image is called Stacey's Tree. I created it about 5 years ago, and we'll try and recreate it now. It's called Stacey's Tree because the tree itself was captured on a friend of mine's property. Guess what? Her name is Stacey. Makes sense, doesn't it? That's about as deep as it gets. Okay, so we need to open up these files. You won't have all of these. You'll have the flowers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the sky and the tree, and that's all we're going to need. So I'm going to open them all up together, just like this. Open. And with any luck, Photoshop won't freeze up on us. Perfect. James says, always forget to download the images beforehand, and they take ages. Yeah, they can do. You need to get, you know, usually the live stream is live and ready to go half an hour beforehand, so you can download. But you can also watch along, chill out, have a coffee, and then if you really enjoy the process, come back, download the images, and give it a shot yourself whilst following along. The beauty of that is you can also slow me down to half speed in the replay. You can't do that in the live recording, obviously. Okay, what we're going to do, let me just click through these images and have a bit of a look. There's a landscape version, Flowers 3. That one we're going to use as our base. And as you can see, we're going to create this hill shape. Well, the hill doesn't exist whatsoever. We're going to create it out of all these flowers here. We'll use that one there, as the base. So Flowers 3. Let's just zoom out a little bit, Command or Control minus. Grab the crop tool, C for crop. And I'll clear my YouTube thumbnail ratio there. And just give us some breathing room. All right, just expand out like so. Roughly like this. I feel like we can change this later, but this will be our canvas to work on, okay? if you, just a quick one, if you're going to ask a question, hit the little the @ symbol. Where's the @ symbol? Above the 2, so Shift and 2. Hit the @ symbol and type in Adam, and you'll see Adam Williams Creative come up in the list. Click on that, and my name will be highlighted in fluorescent orange. You can grab my attention if you can manage to get past Tom grabbing my attention all the time. Okay, now we're going to use this landscape flowers image as a base. We're probably not going to see a lot of it, to be honest, later. And now we're going to lay in over the top some other flower images, and we'll kind of blend them together to fill in some of the gaps, you know, like these gaps here, here, and here, and everywhere else. So flower, yeah, let's use flowers 1 next. Click on flowers 1, and then press Command or Control A, Command or Control C. That will select all and then copy. Click back to flowers 3, Command or Control V for paste, V for victory. Paste that down. Lower. Tom wants something highlighted in pink. Hello. Katrina says, Adam, you said you decreased your volume. She's turned my volume up to the max today, and it's harder to hear you. Not sure. Is anyone else finding it hard to hear me? Have you got headphones plugged in or something, Katrina, or is that coming straight out of your speakers? Check the volume on the speakers. It's saying that I'm just under clipping. I could probably turn it up a fraction. I can turn it up about there, but it will start to clip. If I get excited, it will start to get crunchy. So let me know. Oh, that worked. Okay. Let me know over there if the audio is a bit rubbish or a bit crackly. Anyway. Okay, let's get back to it. We're going to move this one around. In fact, lower the opacity a little bit. Well, we don't really need to lower the opacity, to be honest. We're just going to move this one over, basically just over to the edge here like so. Look, roughly, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Something like that. We're going to use this to create a bit of a hill. I might drop that down, in fact, like so. Something like that. Something like that. Let's give that a shot. Add a layer mask. Okay, come down to below the layer panel. Click on the rectangle with a circle. Oh, we're getting sounds. Okay, I'm at the limit before I start clipping. I'm at the limit before I start clipping the audio. Can you guys tell me if that's better now that I've adjusted that? I will look into it next video, but I want this one to be good too. We've jumped on. We found the mini failure early today, haven't we? Again, it's the audio. Sort of mixing between cameras and audio. It's technical hard stuff. It is kind of hard to get my head around, to be honest. Hey Debbie, how you doing? Okay. We will get there. We got that one there. We just move that around with the move tool. You could also press Command or Control T. I didn't mention that, did I? To move that around. Command or Control T will allow you to move that around. Or you can click on the move tool, the very top tool there, and click and drag around. Sorry, I missed that in the live stream just before earlier. We're going to move that down. In fact, we could even line up the railroads between these two images. That might make a nice perspective later on. Let's go with that. Grab a layer mask, the rectangle with a circle in it. Everyone's saying the volume's much better now. We nailed it. Thanks, team. We got it. We got that problem. Nipped it in the bud. Is that what it is? Nipped it in the butt? The bud? Something or other. Anyway. Okay. B for brush. Click B for brush. We're going to want a black brush. Make sure you've got black and white as your icons over here. If you don't, click on the little black and white icon, which will reset to pure black, pure white. And we want white on the top. No, we don't. We want black on the top. There we go. Black on the top. Set up our opacity. Wind that up to 100. Flow up to 100 because we're going to wipe out this edge. See that hard edge there? That's no good to us at all. If we click once at the top, just in that top corner there, with a brush about that big, you can change the brush with the square bracket keys, up near Enter or Return. about so big. Click once, hold shift down, go down to the bottom, click again, it will join the dots together and wipe out that hard edge, giving us a soft edge. Let's zoom in a couple of times, Command or Control plus. What I will mention, if you're a bit of a Photoshop novice and you find it hard to keep up with some of these more advanced tutorials like this one today, this is a more advanced Photoshop tutorial. Yesterday's was a little bit more basic. If you're finding it tough, in the description below there is my Essentials Beginner Photoshop workflow that will lay the foundation and teach you about layers and masks and all these different things that I'm referring to rather quickly here. So jump down there. The price is choose whatever price suits you. It was normally $149, but you can, anything from $0 to whatever you would like to pay is very much appreciated. That will set the foundation. So don't be too frustrated. If this is above your level, then sit back, relax, and watch what we can do, what is capable in Photoshop. And in the meantime, sign up and learn all about layers and masks via that tutorial or that video series, video course in the description below. All right, now we've wiped out that edge. What we need to do, if I zoom right in, can you see some of the flowers are kind of half opacity in and out? See that? So what we need to do is make our brush, leave it at 100% opacity and flow, and we come in here and we just sort of target individual flowers like this, making sure that they're all in or all out, one or the other. Okay, this will take a little bit of time. You just sort of follow them along, chase them in like that. This one I'm chasing forever, aren't I? That's okay. Well, okay. They're getting a bit big. The perspective change there is a bit big. So let's switch to a black brush. And it's just switch between a black and a white brush. This time I'm going to come back here, try and just clean up that edge there. That looks good. All right, back to, oh sorry, that was switching to a white brush. Switch between a white and a black brush. White will bring it in, black will take it out. If the flower you're trying to take in or out is not working with one brush, then switch to the other, switch to the opposite, and it should do. So we're back on a black brush here. In fact, I might switch to a white brush actually, because I like having those flowers in there. Back to a black again, get those ones back. Back to a white, get those ones in. That little nice patch there, we'll bring that right through, beautiful. Okay, just take your time, no rush. And even some of those distracting bits of dry burnt grass, or even over here, oh I can't over there, we'll do that on the next image, but that's looking good. Scrolling on down, you can see here's another one. I actually want that the other brush, so black. I'm not really taking too much notice of which brush I'm using, to be honest. I'm just seeing, oh, that didn't work, so I painted that flower out, but maybe I want it in. I just switched to the other brush. Good. Not bad, we're getting there, we're getting there. All right. We need something to fill in the other side. Which flowers are we going to, we already used that one. There we go, flowers 2. Click on flowers 2. Command or Control A, Command or Control C, back to flowers 3 where we're doing all the work, Command or Control V for victory, of course Command on a Mac, Control on a PC. We will press Command or Control T to move this around. Once again we could, I'm going to move that one over a bit because I want all of these great flowers side to side of this hill that we're creating, okay? And what you want to keep an eye on is that the flowers up towards the train tracks are roughly the same size. So if I drop this one all the way down there, you can see those flowers are much, much smaller, and we might need to maybe stretch out like that a little bit, make the image a little bit bigger, which is fine. So you want the flowers roughly the same size in the foreground, which they probably are. And in the background, that looks pretty good. I've increased the size of that by about 12%. You can see up the top here, width and height 112. We just stretched out from the corner. Too easy. Do that. Click thank you very much. And add a layer mask, the rectangle with a circle down the bottom again, the same one. B for brush. Make our brush a little bit bigger, about so big. Press X to switch to a black brush. Once again, we'll click in that top corner, hold Shift down, click down the bottom, boom. Clear out all of that hard edge. Zoom back in, Command or Control plus. Ray asks a question from yesterday. Let's touch on that just quickly while it's there. Back to yesterday, is there a difference between color dodge and using the brush to paint color just on the highlights? As in, Ray, I'm assuming you're meaning like picking a colored brush, like an orange brush, and literally painting it directly onto a blank layer or onto the photograph. Yes, there is a bit of a difference. The difference being, and I'm assuming I'm answering this correctly, the difference being that if you choose to paint a color directly on the photograph or directly on a blank layer, you don't get the added benefit. You know, when I choose the color first for color dodge or solid color, I always say, this is a bit of a guess. We'll come back in and change later. That's the flexibility you get with an adjustment layer like solid color in color dodge or solid color in soft light, is you can tweak the color, the hue, the brightness, everything after the event. Whereas if you decide to just choose a color from the palette and paint it on, you don't get the flexibility to change the color from orange to purple or brighten it or darken it, etc., etc. Hopefully that answers the question. Hopefully that was the question. Good morning, 𝗟𝗏𝗪. Great to have you here. Okay, same again. We're going to zoom in, Command or Control plus, even a bit more. And again, using our black brush or white brush in this case, we're going to just try and bring those flowers in or out. Make them in or out. You can see there's a little bit of low opacity there. Just bring them. In fact, I need to switch brushes. I want them in. And I want that one back. Switch again. So you'll notice those low opacity flowers, I just removed that one, wrong brush. And it's really hard to tell where they are because the layers are the same. So it's just a case of switching between the brushes. Okay, look at that, beautiful. Down here, some big flowers, bring them back, look at that. Woohoo! Can we remove some of that sort of, there we go, look at that. Remove some of that clay, red, Australian red dirt. Big beautiful flowers there. Let's make the brush a little bigger and zoom back now. And to be honest, when I did this, I spent a lot of time. I laid these over and over again to fill in all these gaps. And you can do that at home if you like. You see all those sort of brownish, greyish, burnt grass areas? You can get another one of these layers and kind of lay it over the top and try and paint out, fill the entire field with flowers. Okay, just repeat the process. I've given you plenty of images to do so. So you can just keep repeating. We won't do that now because it will take us, an extra hour. Leonie says she could sit here and watch this all day. Beautiful. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I try to do a little bit of a Bob Ross impression. If you haven't seen Bob Ross, I like watching him before I go to bed. It's very relaxing. He's a landscape painter with a big afro. Love him. Soft voice, soft tone voice. Love it. So, I'm learning from Bob Ross. Try and, relax everyone. Happy accidents is one of his favourite sayings. We have a lot of happy accidents here, don't we? Not those kind of accidents, Tom. Okay, we need some more flowers, don't we? Flowers 1, flowers 5. We haven't used flowers 5 yet. Let's go to flowers 5. Command or Control A. Command or Control C. Back to flowers 3. Command or Control V for victory to paste. And Command or Control T. We'll make this one a bit smaller. Tom, sit here, listen to my voice all day. Very soothing, isn't it, Tom? Well, hopefully. Hopefully it's not annoying. Hopefully my Australian accent is not annoying anyone. I'm sure there's some that have already switched off that it's annoying. Anyway, it's not for them, is it? If they're missing out, oh well, it's not for you. If you can't handle the Aussie accent, well, it's just not for you. All right, I'm just messing about here trying to get these flowers similar sized in the background. That's looking pretty good, isn't it? It's looking pretty good. Let's run with that. Check out, I'm not sure the name, DDNN. Check out 𝗃𝗵𝗃 Bedtime Stories. Include 3 Bob Ross episodes. Brilliant. Brilliant. If you haven't seen Bob Ross on YouTube, jump over there tonight when you're having trouble sleeping, if you're a bit anxious. And I love it. I watch it most nights. It's like a bedtime story. Absolutely. Let's add a layer mask. Get a bit distracted. You know, we're just having a cup of tea, having a chat, doing some Photoshop. That's the style, isn't it? That's the style. We're not too serious. We're not overly focused, but we get there. We get there. Okay, we've added a layer mask. Press B for brush, making sure we've got a black brush. Again, we're going to do the same technique. Click in the top corner, hold shift down to the bottom. Both sides this time. Top corner, shift down to the bottom. We need to do this one twice. Once again, zoom right in. These are only low-res images. Imagine if I sent you the full RAW files, it would take you a day to download them potentially. And there's also, you know, my own, I guess, I need to protect my own art because these are images that I've already created myself. So I don't want you creating a better image than mine and then selling it for thousands of dollars, do I? Really? And that's it could be a possibility. Anyway, let's just paint these in and out with a black and white brush. Tom Putt listens to meditations. You sure you spelt that word right, Tom? Meditations, okay. Before he goes to bed. Janice says, this is good. You're enjoying this, Janice. Excellent. I'm glad you are. I'm having a bit of fun myself, can you tell? Make sure you tell your friends, photography friends, any friends. I mean, I'm not a landscape painter and I like watching Bob Ross, so maybe other people would find this interesting. We might be able to get them to start up a passion for photography with the wonderful world of creative photography that we create here. Just switching between that black and white brush, just picking up those flowers as we go. You know, if you see a flower half in and half out, see that one disappeared, but let's bring it back. Bring that one back. You know, do we want that log? Where is it? Can we get rid of that log? There we go, look at that. As I said, you can absolutely lay in these images over and over again to really fill in these gaps. Sunny loving it too. Could be the new favourite show. Have we broken Tom Putt's record yet? We're looking for 260 something concurrent viewers all at the same time. That one's a bit painful there, isn't it? Question? When painting in, is there any difference between opacity and flow on the top bar? We spoke about that the other day, actually. Normally my go-to is 30% opacity and 50% flow when I'm doing normal Photoshop adjustments. Essentially flow for me just gives a softer, more rounded brush, and opacity lowers the intensity of what we're painting in and out. I think that's the best way to explain it. In this scenario, because I want the pixels to either be in or out, not ghostly, we're doing 100-100 at the moment, but we will, in a moment, we will switch and start to edit this file, and we'll use something more along the lines of 30-50, which essentially, I mean, we don't have to go too deep into that. Essentially, It's just going to give us the softest edge brush possible. I'm going to remove that flower because it's right in the foreground. And if we don't get the foreground absolutely perfect, we won't be able to print it really, really big. Let's zoom across to the other line. Where are you? Can't even see it. Ah, there it is. That looks pretty good. Okay, this is a bit monotonous, this first bit, but it's all part of the process. In fact, this line's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, for me, this one is really good. Hopefully it's easy for you guys too. We can paint in a few more flowers here and there. Nah, I'm going to remove those. They look a bit blurry and weird. Okay, perfect. We've got the base. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. We're going to turn it into a hill using light by the shading. So at the moment it looks like a flat field, doesn't it? Like a paddock with a few little undulations. It looks like this is high and dipping down there. We're going to create that hill by the light we place on there. So let's go and start doing that. Andrea, this is the first time joining in. Great to have you here, Andrea. Hit the subscribe button and the get notifications. Join us again tomorrow. We've got an incredible presentation from 𝗵𝗆𝗆 Adventure Photography, whitewater rafting down the Grand Canyon. Thanks for joining us. Okay, we're going good. We're going good. What we're going to do is if we hold down Command or Control and click on all the layers individually, we can highlight all four. So highlight all four and then press Command or Control G for group. Put them in a group. We can double click on the name group, just double click on the text and we'll call this one, we can call it foreground, we can call it flowers, call it whatever you like, that's fine. Because what we're going to do is now create, I'll just zoom back a bit, we're going to create the hill. Let's do that. This is fun, you're going to love this. This is really fun. We're getting into the fun stuff. We did the boring stuff, putting the flowers down. Now we're going to do the fun stuff. As I said, see that little bit of sort of clay-coloured dirt and the grey grass. You could keep laying over and paint those bits out. I would if I had all day. Unfortunately, I don't. I've got other things. I love doing this, but you get the point. You can spend as much time doing that as you like. Absolutely. Okay, add a layer mask to the new foreground group. Okay, the same layer mask we were using to brush in and out before. And what we're going to do, B for brush. Let's open up our brush menu here. So it looks like this. In fact, if you right click anywhere on the image, right click anywhere on the image. If you don't have the right click button for whatever reason, you can access the menu up here. Crank the size slider all the way to 5000. All right, and then just kind of center it up. We need black. Paint in black, just kind of center it up so that that's going to be our hill. It's not going to be as aggressive as a curve as that. We could leave it like that. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Maybe we will. I think we'll make it not quite as aggressive, but you can absolutely leave the hill as steep-sided as you like. But what we want is basically flowers to be all inside that circle and roughly even side to side. So over on the edges here, roughly the same amount as that circle breaks the edge, and that will be central. That looks pretty good. I'll just drag down a little to there. Pretty good. Click once in black. I made a mistake, don't follow that. We need to right click on the image again or go back to that menu, turn the hardness up to 100%. To remove that menu, I just click on the header bar up the top. Set it up again. Set it up again. Boom. Now, we've done the opposite of what we need, haven't we? So we press Command or Control I to invert. Perfect. We now have a really funky curved hill, but it's too much of a curve to kind of match any kind of reality. And although we're creating a fantasy image, I do want it to kind of match reality a little bit. What we need to do, come over to our layer, the group, foreground group. See the little paperclip between the folder and the mask? This is the mask, the black and white section. Click on the paperclip, click on the paperclip and remove it. And then making sure, click on the mask and press Command or Control T. Now we can make the mask bigger. Don't worry, just stretch it up to the top of screen like I just did and then drag it back down and look what we get. We get a softer curve. You can also, I'm going to rotate mine a fraction to make it straight. And I've got a little pink section up there, don't I? Don't even, Tom, don't even. Too funny. I'm just trying to level that up just by eye. You could even engage your rulers. If you go to the View menu and click on Rulers, we could drag a ruler down. Is it going to let me? It's going to turn off Free Transform. That's okay. Drag a ruler down. Okay, and then Command or Control T again, and we can just rotate that so the edges match that ruler. Perfect. Click OK. Click the check mark OK. Up to the View menu, Clear Guides. See there? Clear Guides. Remove that out of the way. Foreground is done. Excellent. Good work. Hopefully you're all following along nicely here. We're making good progress. Colleen was having trouble, worked it out. Awesome. Brush was on the wrong hardness setting. I do it all the time. You just saw me do it, in fact. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure who's referring or asking about courses, but 𝗟𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗄𝗃.com.au, you can find the beginner workflow course in the description. I also do more creative courses, much like what we're doing here at the 𝗏𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃.com.au. Okay, we're going great, guys. We're really making some progress. Let's add the tree. Go to the tree image, and actually, I'm not sure if you've got the same download as me. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I've made it a little bit difficult. I can't remember. If yours looks exactly like mine, what I want you to do is add a blank layer. This is a bit technical. Why? Because if I copy and paste this image over, well, we could drag. In fact, let's try something else. This might work. Just click and drag that layer and then hover on top of Flowers 3 and then come onto the layer like so and drop. Target doc has a different depth than the source document. This may result, that's fine. I don't know why I have two different, whoa, look at that, a tree in the middle. Absolutely brilliant. All right, that worked pretty well. Give that a shot. Just drag it over, drop it in, say yes, that's fine. I'm not sure why I have different depth to both of these images, but it's no big deal. Click on the Move tool, or we'll press actually Command or Control T for transform. Where do we want the tree? We could put it right on top. It looks a bit fake, doesn't it? Drag it down a little. Yeah, maybe there. Maybe we could make it a bit bigger. Stretch up. You could put it right in the foreground here, but nah. The branches up into the sky for the most part, I think would be great. Something like that looks great. Wherever you like, it's no big deal. But we also need to, if we zoom in, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? It looks actually, you'd get away with this one, but let's assume that the ground, we would need to blend that in. Absolutely, we need to blend that in. There's a couple of things we're going to tweak now. There's a couple of things we're going to tweak. First of all, let's fix up this, let's ground the tree properly, perfectly ground the tree. What I'm going to do is put this tree layer into its own group. So make sure you click on the tree layer, just here, click here, just there, and press Command or Control G for group. Bop, into a group. You can close that group. You can call this group tree, just so we know what we're working with, and add another layer mask. The reason I do this is because this layer mask, I can mess this layer mask up and I'm not going to mess the tree up. And the reason I've given you an already cut out tree is because this was one of those trees that I had to do manually with an eraser or a black brush and cut it out manually. It took me about, I think about 8 or 10 hours. Okay, maybe we could do a marathon tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, Paul's coming on tomorrow. Next week, we'll cut out this tree together. A full day show of tree cutting out. That'll test your resolve, how much you love watching along. Rosie says, why wouldn't I do the sky before the tree? Absolutely, Rosie, we could do that too. It doesn't make any difference. Because the tree's cut out already, it doesn't make any difference. But yeah, quite often I would make the complete background first, in fact. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. 236, it's not a new record yet, Gail. We're looking for 250 odd. Come on, guys, hit that share button. Let's take Tom out right now today. I mean, Paul will set a new record for me tomorrow. I can live in the glory for one evening and sleep contently for one evening. No, I'm the top dog of my own show. Don't worry about it. I'm only having a laugh. It's good. You know, Tom's a superstar. We love him. Let's do what we're trying to do here. We're going to paint this out. A full day of cutting out. Tom thinks that's good. We're going to ground this tree. And what I mean by ground this tree, we need to mask in and bring some grass up the front edge. You're going to love this. This is my favorite part. This is one of my favorite parts. B for brush. B for brush. We're going to open up the brush menu, okay, and select one of the grass brushes here. Now, you might not have a grass brush. See this brush here? Number 34, it looks like grass. You might not have it, because I believe it might be in the legacy brushes. Is it in the legacy brushes? Default. Sorry, hang on. I'm just trying to figure this out because I know I'm going to get a bunch of emails. Yes, it is. Okay, it's in the legacy brushes. So the latest version of Photoshop, it might not show, okay? So what you need to do, hopefully, I did this a long, long time ago, is click on the cog, and come down here and select legacy brushes, and it says restore the legacy brush set. This is the old Photoshop brushes that they used to give you as the default brushes. Click OK. All right, let's do that. You can see I've got a second folder for that now, and you'll find the grass. It's a bit of a long convoluted way around, isn't it? But you'll now have more brushes in Photoshop. Open the legacy brushes folder, open default brushes, and here is the grass, okay? Choose the one that looks like a chicken foot, okay? The three-pronged grass. And what size do I want? Oh, there's one other thing. What you're going to need is your brush settings menu. Now, let's move mine so I don't have it. Let's say you don't have brush settings over there. Come to the window menu, select, it's in alphabetical order, brush settings, that one. Click on the word or the tab of the folder here where it says brush settings and drag it. I'm going to place it in this vertical bar, okay? Where you place this particular menu is directed by where your mouse is, and where the blue highlights is where it's going to drop. See, mine's going to drop there. Click and open it. Absolutely perfect. Now, what we need to do is click on, or actually click off. See, color dynamics is checked. That's going to mix colors as we paint. Mix between foreground and background. Great for grass if you've got two shades of green to paint, but we don't want to actually paint grass. We want to mask the mask to reveal the illusion of grass, okay? So click color dynamics off. Perfect. You're gonna love this. If you don't love this, like this is my favorite geeky technique. Okay, we've got a grass brush. Now we want to paint with black, and we're going to paint out the bottom of the grass of this tree. Let's turn that off, this section, with a black grass brush, which is going to make it look like the foreground that we created has grass actually from the foreground coming up the tree. Leonie, could we make a tree brush? Absolutely. The problem is it'll only be in grey and white, black and white essentially, so it's not a great idea. Have a look down in the description below. There's a tutorial on how to make a cloud brush. That works absolutely incredibly well. That was a lot of fun as well. Have a look at that one. It's only a short video. You'll enjoy that. Okay, here we go. Black brush, fresh white mask on our tree group. And if we just click and drag around like this, look at this. Get out of town. Let's zoom in. Get out of town. How good does that look? For your knowledge, I'm using a 134 pixel brush. Okay, you can change it with the square brackets as well. Anywhere around that will be fine. Let's continue. That was so much fun. Let's do it to the horizon with a smaller brush. Let's try like an 80 pixel brush. Watch this. Ah, sorry, hang on. Missed a step, wasn't working, was it? Click back on the mask of the foreground and we need to switch to white. We're going to paint with white to reveal more foreground. 80's too much. 80's too much. Let's try 40. Brush. 𝗏𝗃𝗵𝗊𝗘, what are you talking about? Brush? Bush, brush, metal, cool. Wow, okay, you guys like it. Let's try 3940. That's good. You can make it, and I'm just holding down and painting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. When the sky comes down, you'll see how incredible this looks. And you can see there, I've got some flowers coming through, so I can go back to black, just paint them back, and then back to white. Don't let that area go up too much. And you can create little kind of hills, little tufts of grass up in these grassy areas like this. Come along here. Spend as much or as little time as you like. Little tuft here, look at that. Yeah, a little flower up there too, in the tuft. Back and forth, back and forth. You can see it's painting in different intensities as well. Okay, so you could also go to your brush settings and have a mess around. I'm not sure shape dynamics is the one that's changing the shape or rotating. I think scattering, have a play around or have a Google what all of those do if you're really interested in these different brushes. I don't use them a lot, but I know this grass technique. It's one of my favorites for creating a grassy hill horizon. Okay, just along the edge. Little tufts, look at that, they look amazing. They really do, they really look like little tufts of grass and really natural. That one looks horrible. Hit X to go back to black. You'll see that black doesn't work as well. It puts the stem of the grass there, but we'll just come back and just feather up like that. Perfect. Come on down here. Graham's got a question. I'll jump over to that in a second, Graham. How are we going? We broken Tom's record yet? You can see that maybe I need to, in reality, overlay another section of flowers there to remove that pink, but we'll leave it, it's fine. Graham asks, if you were blending an image like a tree into water, what brush would you use instead of a grass brush? I'd probably use a normal soft brush and just maybe lap it up. You can absolutely download water splash brushes online from Google. I'm not sure if Photoshop has any default water splash brushes, but you can download them. So you could look at that, water splash. You could create your own water splash from going down to the local rock pools at the beach and photographing some splashing on the rocks, anything like that. Whatever you think. If the water's calm, you probably don't need much, maybe a little ripple. If the water's rough, you're going to do something different. 241, 243, 244. We're going to get there, Tom. We are going to get there today. All right, hope you enjoyed that bit. We can also click on the tree. It doesn't look too central, does it? Command or Control T. Move that over. That looks better. Click OK. Just zoom back in on the tree there. I noticed if I turn it on and off, there's a couple of little skerricks where I missed here, isn't there? So with a black brush, just paint those out. Look at that grass, just beautiful. Okay, absolutely brilliant. Okay, let's drop that sky in behind now, and then 246, we are flying. Click on the sky layer, Command or Control A, Command or Control C. I said yesterday this was going to be a popular one. It is proving right. It's a lot of fun. You guys seem to love the really creative stuff, whether it be the romantic edits or the composites, or I'll keep that in mind. I will keep that in mind. All right, the sky. Grab the sky. Command or Control A, Command or Control C, the same process. Click back on the flowers image, flowers 3, which is our workspace. Command or Control V for victory. You can see that pastes down over the top of the image. Okay, we're going to move that layer. Just click it on the layer stack and drag down to the bottom. Now, you need to be careful because if you drop it when see how that's highlighting the entire foreground group? It'll drop into the group. Don't do that. Drop below and you'll see the little blue line under foreground layer. Perfect. Ta-da! Okay, that's looking great. Command or Control T. If it drops into the group, just pick it up and drag it right down to the bottom again. Okay. Oh, some little pinnacles there. I want this light area to be on the left. The image is going to read left to right. Doesn't really matter. You can have it reading right to left. And what I mean by that is the brightest, the area where the sun's going to be pouring through, will be over on the left here. So Command or Control T, and then right click inside the image and flip horizontal. 254, 250, oh, we're going backwards. We're going backwards, 254 back to 251. Some people are annoyed that I'm celebrating catching maybe some Tom Putt fans. Tom Putt's just dropped off. He said, well, you're not having my number if you're breaking my record. He's gone. Fun and games. All right, we're looking pretty good. We're looking good. That's all we need to do. I've just stretched that out to remove those little pinnacles and we can have that nice bright spot, you know, something like that. Click OK. Click OK. Zooming in, you can see this tree. Some of the leaves are a little bit, or not, there's not many leaves, is there, to be honest? Some of the twigs are kind of sort of light bluish. Because the tree came from a bright blue sky, that tends to contaminate the fringes of the twigs and they tend to be 266, we're within a couple. Incredible. YouTube must be sharing this morning. We're getting lots of clicks. If you're new, we do this every morning. It's a lot of fun. And just hit subscribe and hit the notifications bell. Join us again tomorrow morning, same place, same time. Okay, what we need to do is, we've got the tree image here. We're going to duplicate the tree. Command or Control J, sorry, undo. Click on the tree layer first. Command or Control J. Okay, got that there. Oh, yeah, I'm buying viewers on the black market, Tom, just to get my name on the top of the leaderboard for a day. Only for a day. I'm sure Paul's going to nail it tomorrow. All right, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm looking for merge group. There it is. Okay, so once you duplicate that layer, we have a tree layer, tree group and tree copy. Right, click on the copy and select merge group. Okay, that will merge that layer together. So now we just have the tree sitting all by itself like that. Okay, what we're going to do, we want to grab our burn tool and just burn these branches back to a darker shade, like a blacker shade, a darker shade, so they look correct. And then we'll start adding the colorization and the light to the image. Request a recount. Yeah, absolutely. It's rigged. We need to press O for orange, okay? Or click on the burn tool. It's this one here. It looks like a little hand that's going like that. It's almost creating an O, in fact, isn't it? If you can't find it, just press O on your keyboard, O for orange, and then right click on the tool that highlights and select the burn tool. Okay, perfect. Come up here, we want to select probably mid-tones. We'll see how this works. And we'll probably drop that down to about 25–30%, the exposure, okay? Everything else, as I've got it there, you can click protect tones. Now, where's my, have I got a massive brush? I do. Make your brush smaller. Look at that. I've got a cloud brush for my burn tool. Okay, so you won't have that. If you've got a weird brush, come back into your brushes here and select a soft brush. Okay, the soft brush, this one here. Perfect. And just click on those extreme edges a couple of times. Just move around, click, click, click. See how that's just burning the fringes in? That's exactly what we want. Okay. Now you could zoom in and do this more accurately so you don't lose. I'm losing some of the light Whoops, B for brush. What happened here? Where'd my brush go? Brush tool. Why does it look funky like that? Bigger. Oh, I've managed to change to some other brush. Happens in Photoshop, doesn't it? Happens to the best of us. We get confused. Oh, hello. I don't want the brush tool. What am I doing? Don't press B for brush. Wow, okay, hang on. Hold the phone. Rewind. Back to O for orange. Click on, make sure we have the burn tool. I got a little bit out of kilter there, didn't I? Okay. Okay, here we go. Just burn them back. I'll do a rough job. You could zoom in and do it twig by twig, you know, to try and maintain the nice light on some of these branches here. Also, you'll notice the light of the tree tends to be looking like it's coming from that left edge as well. That's important to consider that when you're doing a composite. I mentioned we were considering how the image was going to read left to right, but 208, we could hit 300. Wow, this is phenomenal, guys. Thank you. If you're new, and there must be a lot of new people joining us today, we do this every day, same time, creative Photoshop, all sorts of photography, inspiration, guest photographers, some of the best photographers in the world, one joining us tomorrow. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, get the notifications, join us again tomorrow, or in fact, join us every day. We have this little community here, just having fun. We don't take it too seriously. All right, that looks good. We've darkened down those branches nicely. 293, we're flying. Okay, I'm going to ignore that now. Ignore that. Switch off, focus. Focus on the task. Okay. We've basically built the new raw file now, haven't we? So let's now go and add the colorization. Now, if the sun's going to be coming up from here, what we need to do, this hill would be mostly in shadow. So what we're going to do, click on the foreground layer because we're going to clip some layers down so they only affect the foreground. Click on the foreground layer, add a curves layer. I'm ignoring you guys. Stop telling me how many people are here. Click on a curves layer, click this little clipping icon, this one here. If you can't find that clipping icon, it's going to put an arrow down to the group. If you can't find that icon, hold down Option or Alt and hover between the new curves layer and the foreground layer, and you'll see your mouse change to a little icon, and you can clip that down like so, okay? Let's see if I get, oh no, fine. Clip that down like so. That's what happens when you buy viewers. Yeah, sorry, Tom. I had enough of being second fiddle, mate. Okay, what we're going to do now, with that clip down, you can see it's only affecting the foreground, right? That's an incredible technique for doing composite photography and matching up tones or getting the tones to an area. So just drop that down by eye till you see something that looks like, you know, if the sun was setting over here, what would this foreground look like? Yeah, it would look something like that. Okay, and if we press B for brush, now go for B for brush. Only here on Wednesdays, Carmel. Well, thanks for joining us on Wednesdays. You can also catch these videos on replay at Adam Williams Creative on YouTube. They're all there. I think this is episode 34, 35. Okay, we're going beautifully. B for brush, and we're going to use a black brush to wipe away a little bit of that dark shadow from this area, which is starting to create some dimension on this hill because the light might be washing up from the sun here, washing up here. You can see it's hitting the tree, so it's got to be hitting somewhere here as well. Drop our opacity back to 30% roughly, flow back to 50% roughly. Right click, check that our hardness is on 0. It is. Right click on the image once you're on B for brush. Click on the header to remove that, and we'll just softly paint out a little bit like that. Just a few clicks here and there. Beautiful. Isn't that looking nice? That is looking nice. Okay. Let's add our most favorite painting with pure sunlight. Click up to the top layer now. I'm sorry I'm bouncing around, and this comes with Photoshop experience, knowing where to place the layer so that it only affects particular layers. We're going to let the next layer affect everything. So click up to the top layer, the tree copy layer. Click on our adjustment layers icon. Again, if you're having trouble struggling following along, my Photoshop Basics course, the Essentials for Photoshop workflow, in the description below. Pay whatever you can afford, and if you can't, but you still want to do it, please accept it as a gift from me. You'll find the description or the link to that course below in the description. Solid color, painting with pure sunlight. We're going to move the hue slider. If your solid color panel looks different to mine, make sure you have the H selected, H for hue, and then move up and select orange. Just click in the middle. Roughly, this is a guess, as I said before. Click OK. And we change this blend mode to, so the blend mode is above the layer panel, currently reads normal. Change the blend mode to color dodge. Yeah, it was a guess, but if your guess doesn't look as good as mine, I'm pretty happy with that. We double click back on the brownish orangish colored icon here, double click and come back in, and you can change the color here, you can change the brightness around till you find something. In fact, I might brighten it up even a bit more like that, looking good. Click OK. Click back over to the mask. Click back over to the mask. That'll trap a few people. You'll wonder why the mask isn't working. Make sure you click back to the mask. Command or Control I to turn the mask black. B for brush. We will turn our brush down about 15%. 15% in white, a white brush. And we're going to just paint up here. Look at this. Get this beautiful golden sun glow on that hill going. Look at that. And what we're going to do, we're going to actually really, we might do a few here, but we're really going to create a hot spot, a rather hot spot coming from here, and really lighting up that tree. That's looking nice at the moment already. You know, we could almost finish there, but I think we can tweak it a little bit more, get a little bit more stylized. Let's add another similar solid color layer. Again, click on the black and white circle down there, solid color. Again, it doesn't have to be the same color, choose a different color. Click OK. Same again, color dodge. That's a hot spot and a half, isn't it? That's a bit much. Double click to go back in. That's the kind of look I want, but what color do I want it in? Ooh, pink clouds. 𝗃𝗵𝗃 will like pink clouds. Let's do this one and dedicate it to 𝗃𝗵𝗃 because we just knocked him off as I revel in my glory. Sorry, Tom. It had to happen though. It was inevitable. One day it was going to happen. Hello there, Florey. I don't know how you I'm horrible at pronouncing names, but I give it a shot. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce that name, but thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. Join us again tomorrow. It's a lot of fun. Okay, once again, click on the layer mask, click Command or Control I to invert, and let's paint in a bit of this. In fact, we can paint a lot of this. We really want those pink clouds this morning. That's what we're going for. You know, much like, as I mentioned, Bob Ross, we just wing it and see what kind of happens, see what agrees with us on the day. It's another great reason to potentially post-process or Photoshop your images more than once, because often they'll turn out much, much different, and then you can compare and say, well, actually, I like that one better. Most of the times when I accidentally mess an image up or delete it or something and I have to start again, I like the second time around better. Okay, that's looking really nice. Look at the light on that tree that's really coming up too. Terry Boyd says, yes, lots of fun. Thanks, Terry. Glad you enjoy it. Let's add a bit of darkness, a bit of vignette. Let's add a bit of drama with a bit of darkness. Maybe we don't need it. Maybe you want a nice soft image. That's okay. Have some fun. Go in whatever direction you like. We could have added some astro, some stars and a moon behind there. We could have had a really full tree full of leaves, like a tree of life. You could run with this in any direction, really. Let's go curves. Add a curves layer. Drag down. Oh, look at that drama. We might drag down. By dragging down from the top, you'll see we get lower contrast, more of a nighttime shadow effect. If I drag down aggressively from here, we get a high contrast darkening effect. So sometimes we just want to mess around and see what works, and a bit of a combination might work like that. Command or Control I to hide it away. B for brush. I'm going to zoom back, Command or Control minus, because I want to paint around the edges here. And we could probably bump that up a bit, 25% opacity. So the light's coming in from here. We won't touch that edge too much. We'll try and darken off that edge. And create a bit of, and same, we'll darken off the foreground, try and create, it's creating the dimension. And that's too much, isn't it? It's a bit much. Okay, but that's okay. We'll now hit X to go to a black brush and just dab, dab, dab these away. You know, that bit section there, bit too much there. Was there a question? A shadow from the tree, absolutely. We'll have a crack at that too. Gail? Peter Lick has been watching. Maybe Peter Lick shared it with his millions of followers. Wouldn't that be incredible? Okay, that's looking good. We will come back and tweak the colours a little bit more. Let's add a little bit of a shadow. Now we could just paint a shadow in with a brush, which in this case I think is what we're going to do. Often the other way you can do it, and I'll dedicate an entire morning to creating realistic shadows from trees. What we can do is create a duplicate of the tree and lay it down on the ground. But in this case, the shadow is probably, you know, it's probably heading back that way. Oh, let's do the real thing, guys. Come on, let's do the real thing. Come back to the tree copy layer. Let's do the real thing. Tree copy layer down here, Command or Control J. So we copy it. Click and drag it to the top. You'll see it's already quite black. What we're going to do is add a blank layer. This will start to make sense in a minute. No, we're not going to add a blank layer. Delete that one. We will in a minute. Got the order wrong. We're going to add a solid color layer. Okay, in black. Perfect. Just click and drag through the bottom left. Click OK. That's great. We're now going to clip the solid color layer down to the layer below. So hold down Option or Alt, hover between those two new layers. You can see we have a black tree, looks like a shadow, doesn't it? If I right click, will it let me merge down? It will. Right click on the solid color layer, select merge down. This should give us a black tree. Yep, look at that. Command or Control T for transform. Now we have transform, we can rotate. And what we need to do, let me zoom back a bit. The light is here, so it's going to be coming up. Let's assume it's coming up relatively like something like that. Now this is unrealistic, isn't it? So what we need to do, we need to flatten it out onto the ground. The way we do that is hold this edge here and hold down Shift on the latest version of Photoshop. On the earlier Photoshops, you won't have to hold Shift, it will just freestyle up. But to break the constraints, we need to hold Shift down and drag that up like that. And it kind of flattens out nicely, doesn't it? Okay, but now we need to flatten it down the hill. You know, something like this. And then stretch it. Actually, I want to hold Shift and stretch. Stretch this way. It's going to be a long afternoon shadow. Zoom back in now. We can use the arrow keys to bump this around. 345, can we crack, well, we're getting a bit in front of ourselves. Can we crack 400, aren't we? I appreciate everyone that's joining us. Thank you very much. We line it up something like that. How are we going there? Command or Control minus. I think we could, it's still not flat enough for mine, but you be the judge on your own. And I could rotate it down the hill a little bit more. I don't know, something like that. It doesn't look wide enough at the trunk. Let's widen up the trunk. Hold down Command. We're getting really technical here, and we can warp this. In fact, if we right click, let's right click and select warp. Let's widen the trunk up, this section of the image up. Perfect. Pretty good. Click OK. All right. Now that looks horrible, doesn't it? We're not finished. We're not finished. We need to finesse. Finesse. Okay, how are we going to finesse this? Couple of ways. We're going to we're going to move up to the filter menu first of all and select Convert for Smart Filters. Whoa, this is technical, this bit. Stick with me, one step at a time. Slow me down, make sure you pick up all the different steps. Convert for Smart Filters will allow us to apply a blur and then change it if we don't get it right. Now move up to Filter menu and select Blur, Gaussian Blur, Gaussian Blur. And where did my shadow go? It's because I've got too much blur. As we back, you see we get a nice shadow. Just like that, okay? Perfect, that's pretty good. Click OK, maybe too much. That's better, click OK, perfect. Now, on the smart filters here, you'll see it has its own mask. This is the blur mask. Now, what you will notice with a shadow, if you go for a walk today for the daily exercise, which I'll be doing after this, if you go for a walk, what you will notice is shadows in harsh sunlight or direct sunlight, like we're trying to portray here, will start off rather sharp and then blur out as they go off into the distance. They'll also start off rather intense, rather black, and get rather dull as they go off into the distance. So let's replicate that. Now, you'll see we have a mask, which is the Smart Filter Blur Mask. B for brush, with a black brush. Let's bump the opacity up to 35%-ish. Let's just go bop, bop, bop. See how, that's probably too much. I want it to be rather sharp at the base of the tree here. That's pretty good. And then let's just drop that opacity a little bit. And with a black brush, we'll just bring a little clarity back to those areas, a little bit. Now, last step to finalize this, we're going to click back up to the top of the layer here and add our own layer mask to that section. And we're going to reduce the intensity as we go away from the tree. First of all, opacity and flow to 100%, and let's get the shadow out of the sky. Okay, shadow out of the sky. All right, lower that down now, roughly 30% opacity, 50% flow. Giving you all the tricks this morning, guys, all the tricks. And we're going to reduce the intensity of this shadow as it casts across the landscape. Drop that opacity down a little bit more. Command or Control T. I just want a final little tweak. I don't feel it's in the right direction. Something like that. Click OK. And there's a little bit on the tree there. B for brush again. Get that off the tree. Okay, something like that. How do we go? Zoom back out. Yeah, not too bad. It's probably a little bit too intense back here. We could lower the overall opacity of the entire layer, in fact. That looks better. That looks better. That looks better. Tom Putt, have you done a video on this to help Seattle Survivor? Seattle Survivor says, sorry, give me a second, I'm just reading this. For how to ensure the image is mastered before printing large. Seattle Survivor, I have a complete print workflow. It's a 5-step, I think, print workflow, and you'll find it in my ultimate bundle courses at www.𝗟𝗵𝗂𝗋𝗄𝗋photography.com.au. Email me at adam@𝗟𝗵𝗂𝗋photography.com. Yesterday, I offered a 50% discount for anyone that emails me. I'm willing to do that for yourself and anyone else that wants to have the full bundle of Photoshop courses to really set the foundation for Photoshop, okay, and allow you to freely create, you know, unlock your creative freedom once and for all as far as Photoshop is concerned, okay. Terry, could you simply reduce opacity? Absolutely, mate. We just, I just mind read you and did that right in that one go, didn't I? So that shadow looks pretty good. Let's do a few more final tweaks and then we'll wrap it up. Let's go for a bit more drama, a little bit more darkening across here. I think we'll create a bit more of a hot spot here, and then we'll do a little bit of color grading. We'll add some warmth and some cold and get some complexity to the colours, some stylization if you like. Let's do that. What did I say we're going to do? Darken. Let's darken. Add a curves layer, making sure you're still clicked on the top layer. Add a curve. Click and drag down. Yeah, we'll go for the dramatic drag down. Command or Control I to invert. B for brush. 379 with a white brush, of course. Gay, you'll be trying to follow this along this afternoon. Yeah, come back. It's a long process, but if you enjoy it, some people say, oh, I could never sit behind a computer for 3 or 4 hours in Photoshop. Then absolutely don't do it. If you enjoy the photo process, getting out to the waterfalls, etc., then spend the time doing that. But I enjoy that side of it, but I'm passionate about creating fantasy type images in Photoshop that have a story to tell. To be honest, this doesn't have a strong story, but to me, it certainly could though. It's uplifting, I suppose, in a certain way. Doesn't that shadow make a difference of really grounding that tree as well? Maybe a bit much. X to go back to a black brush. Ditto. Freelancer is going to be doing that as well. Well, make sure you show me the results over at the Facebook group, 𝗟𝗍𝗄𝗏 Photography. Post them this afternoon or tomorrow when you're done. Okay, let's add another solid color layer. I'm really going to try and burn this out. Normally as a technical photographer, you don't want to blow highlights, but to really get that intensity, we might do a little bit of just touch on the border of blowing them out. Let's see what happens if we add a red. Okay, just click on any red. Normal, experiment, color dodge. We'll let it go, but it's not great, is it? Double click to go back in. Yeah, just bouncing around, click around. Do you see anything we like? I think the orange, that sort of burnt sun orange over here is rather uplifting. That's rather chaotic. Purple, you could absolutely, we might use some purple later actually. Let's stick with orange for now. Just want to really lift that section up. Click on the mask. Once again, make sure you click back on the mask. Command or Control I to invert. B for brush, and make sure you have a white brush over here. Yeah. With these really low opacity brush, like 15, 16%, you'll need to click a lot to make them come up, to make them come through. But it also helps to give you a really soft feel. We can bring it over into the dark spot there as well. That's looking good. Let's create a little bit of haze. It's a favorite Instagram technique. You know, Instagram loves a little bit of misty haze, a bit of sun glow right on the horizon. Let's do that. All the tricks today. Make sure you bookmark this one. It's got all the tricks in it. Okay. Sorry, I skipped ahead, didn't I? Once again, solid color layer. Once again, this time I'm going to choose a little bit more of a yellowish color and a little brighter. You know, something like, let's run with that, roughly. Just guess it. Yellowish, up in the higher section there. Click OK. And we're going to lower the opacity. 380, we could push 400. Crazy. And when we lower the opacity, see, it gives this beautiful dusty glow. We're going to use that over here on the horizon just to give it some atmosphere. That looks good. Click on the layer mask. I've got the opacity down at 46%. Click on the layer mask, Command or Control I to invert. B for brush again. We already had the brush. Opacity, let's knock that up to 20%. You probably wonder why I keep changing the opacity. It's intuition. I've been using Photoshop for 15, 20 years. And I know. The key is though, if you start painting and it comes on too strong, your opacity is too much. If you start painting and you can't see it at all, you might be able to bump it up a little bit. I'm going to start with about 23, 25% here. And we'll create a little bit of haze here. We might just put a little haze across the sky. That's probably too much. Let's just double click in here. Double click back on that icon. Do I want to warm that up a little bit? Yeah. Oh. You know, maybe you don't like it, and then just leave it out if it's not for you, it doesn't suit your style. Before, after. You might like the higher contrast to a degree. I think I've probably done too much. Let's drop the opacity down a little bit more. That's a nice balance. Okay, a couple of final touches. We're going to add a little bit of warmth through photo filters, and maybe I want to add a little bit of blue into the shadows here to give the image a more dynamic, more exciting color palette. Let's do that. Let's add some warmth through a photo filter. And photo filters and solid color and all these other different techniques, they're much the same, but they can produce slightly different results. So have a play around. Yeah, that warming filter looks nice. I've bumped the intensity or the density up to almost 60% there. First one was better. Maybe the last one. Yeah, maybe the second one. I think I like the second one. Before, after, it ties the image together really, really well. Particularly takes those blues out of the sky or dulls them back, which I like. Let's run with that. Click on that, Command or Control I to invert, and the brush can come up to about 30-35% with a white brush. And I'll just paint over. I'm not going to come into the foreground. I'm just going to lighten up that area. Perfect. We might even add some purple in a minute as well. Let's add some blue into those shadows. Same thing, photo filter. We'll go to the cooling filters. You might like that. If you do, always keep your eyes open as you're changing these things because you might like it overall. It's quite nice, isn't it? I would prefer the light up there on the horizon. We're going to use that to add it into the grass shadows in the foreground. Let's Command or Control invert. We'll paint it in initially. Just in here. And then we'll use Blend If to blend it off. At the moment it's very aggressive, but I want the flowers to be quite warm, okay? So Blend If, another tutorial you'll find in depth in the description below. 390. Thanks guys. If you're new, absolutely thanks. I don't know where you're all coming from. Did you find it on the YouTube homepage, maybe recommendations this morning? Thanks for joining us. We do this every morning. Come live from my little studio in Australia here. Hit the subscribe button, hit notifications. Join us tomorrow. We've got an incredible adventure photography journey from 𝗃𝗆𝗆 tomorrow morning. You're going to love it, I absolutely guarantee. Blend If you're not sure about Blend If, you can find it in the courses in my overall course bundle. It's the more advanced techniques. There is also a dedicated video below in the description as well. We're going to remove this from the flowers. Where are you? Just like that. Oh, split that off. Something like that. We are getting there. Yeah. Before, quite warm in the shadows. After, it's subtle, but there's a coldness in the shadows now, which adds a little bit more interest. I think we're getting pretty close, guys. I think we're getting pretty close. Let's have a play with some purples. I do like purples. We'll switch back to solid color. Click OK. Just fussing around now, trying to hit 400, just fussing about. Thanks again, everyone. It's a bit of fun. What are we doing? We've added a purple. We're going solid color in soft light. Woo! Look at that psychedelic color filter. All right, it's a bit intense. Let's double click and go back in. Click OK. I quite like that. Before, after, before, after. Obviously, there's a little funky bit down there that I've obviously missed in a mask or something, have I? Yeah, you can see one of my masks is not great down here. I'd need to go back to these layers and find out where that missing bit is and patch it over, or just use the clone tool and patch it over. I love the purples. Do you love the purples? I do. And what we could do, maybe we could take a little bit of the purple out where the sun's coming through here. So let's go and beef a brush, lower that opacity down, switch to a black brush. It's killing me, 399 guys. It's going to sit me right on the edge of setting the 400 mark. 𝗃𝗆𝗆𝗆, I'm sure, is going to get us tomorrow though anyway. Woo! 400. Who would have thought? Absolutely incredible. This is all thanks to you guys, absolutely, for building this. We started this, what, 6, 7 weeks ago? 7 weeks ago now, almost. We had 5 or 6. 𝗟𝗚𝗱𝗆, I often mention, he was the first guy to say, "Good morning, Adam," and join the stream. He's a good mate of mine. I've taught him over the years and photographed with him over the years, and had coffee and whatnot with him over the years. Good fella. Mate, you started this whole thing and everyone has joined and supported it and taken this to a new level. Absolutely phenomenal, guys, that we have 400 people all currently watching this particular edit. So I guess it's pretty well locked in and certain that you guys love this style of creative editing. It always is the one that gets the most views. We're still going to do, obviously, the photographer inspiration interviews and the photo critique, but I'm going to throw in more of these as well. All right, I think we're done. Let's have a look right back where we started from. I mean, essentially what we started with was a few flowers and trees, wasn't it? Well, actually, I'll show you the images rather than go back here. We started with, these flowers. Flowers, whoops, that's the image, flowers. We created a hill, we dropped a tree in it. If you're just joining us now, the replay will be on in about 10 or 15 minutes. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications, jump over to Adam Williams Creative in about 15-20 minutes and you'll see the replay. Skip the first 10 minutes because it's just the warm-up, the warm-in, the countdown, and you'll be able to follow along. Images in the description, follow along with us. Spend the afternoon creating this incredible image and then show me what you've done over at the Facebook group, Easy Way Photography on Facebook. Okay, we use that, we drop that sky in behind, a beautiful little sky. All those flowers, and we came up with, and it didn't take us that long. It didn't take us that long. I mean, it's probably not perfect. I do probably need to have a cup of tea. That little white point, if I just circle it, that little white dot there, I'd clone that out. I'd clone that one out. There's a few other things. I'd probably sit back and have a tweak with the colors, but all in all, we've done a pretty good starting point. How to write code. 𝗃𝗵𝗲𝗁𝗃𝗃𝗬𝗀, how to write code. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe how to write code to hack the system and get all these viewers. Absolutely, we've done something right. Neville is with us. Thanks, Neville. Mate, you started it off. You were the first and you're still here today. Absolutely, thank you. Okay, guys, well, that's really it. Make sure you set the alarm, 10 a.m. Sydney time tomorrow, this time slot tomorrow. 𝗃𝗆𝗆𝗆, incredible adventure photography story as he takes a journey down the flooded USA Grand Canyon, the majestic Grand Canyon. I've seen the photos. They're some of my most favorite landscape photos I've ever seen, or travel photos or adventure photos. You're going to love it. 𝗃𝗆𝗆𝗆 has a way with words and telling stories that will just transport us all on that particular journey and give us a break from, being inside. It's going to be spectacular. Thanks for joining us. I had a fun one today. It was almost, let's not ruin it, but it was getting almost close to pretty good. As far as messing up I'm talking about, Anyway, thanks for joining me. Have a great rest of the day or a great evening if you're over in the States or anywhere else in the world. Get some sleep, sleep well. Take care, stay safe, and be creative. Push the boundaries, be inspired. I hope you are. Thanks for watching along. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Sydney time. We'll do it all over again. Thank you.